Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm gonna tell you how to handle objections at the listing presentation. But before I do, I want you to know that the best way for you to handle objections at the listing presentation is to avoid these objections. And there are things you can do properly, effectively, correctly, so you avoid these objections. So the first thing you need to do to avoid them is you must pre-qualify your appointments, and you have to pre-qualify them thoroughly. That doesn't mean that it's a long script. My pre-qualifying script is pretty short, but it's thorough. And the questions on the pre-qualifying script are the basic questions you ask. Motivation questions. Where are they moving? When do they want to be there? What's important about moving? Why are they moving? These are pre-qualifying questions. These are not things you talk about or ask about before you set the appointment, because you pre-qualify an appointment after you set one. Because if you haven't set an appointment yet, what are you asking these questions for? They are irrelevant. When you're pre-qualifying, you find out if they're interviewing other agents so you can be better prepared. You find out if one of the decision makers won't be there, in which case you really cannot take a listing if someone that needs to help with the decision is not there. So there are other pre-qualifying questions. What are they looking for in the agent they will hire? That's one of my favorite pre-qualifying questions. Will they be ready to list the property with you at the end of the meeting if they are absolutely confident that hiring you is the best decision they can make? These are pre-qualifying questions. When you ask these questions, you're gathering information. You're not pre-qualifying so they give you objections and then you handle them over the phone. No. You're learning what the objections are, what their questions and concerns are. So when you show up to the appointment, you're better prepared and you could handle them preemptively, meaning before they come up. You don't wait until the end. You already know they have concerns, so you respond. Number two, you also avoid objections at the listing presentation by doing a great presentation, standing out, blowing their mind. I want you to think about this. Motivated sellers are looking for an aggressive agent. Aggressive doesn't mean you're going to beat them up. Aggressive means you believe that you are the best agent for the job and you're going to convey that message to them. And they're going to feel confident that you can get their home sold for the most money possible in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle. That is what motivated sellers are looking for. And when you show up confidently, you speak with authority, and even if you're new to real estate, you sound knowledgeable because you need to learn what you need to learn to show up and make a great presentation. They're gonna have very few or no objections, and when you ask them to just, I need your signature right here, they go ahead and sign. Point number three, before you even start your presentation, take the listing agreement that you brought with you, put it on the table, put the pen on top of it, and this listing agreement that's completely filled out with the exception of the price should be sitting there. It's a subliminal close, and it's gonna, combined with the fact that you pre-qualified, you're doing an amazing job, you stand out, you're super confident, that is also gonna set the tone for them to just go ahead and sign when you ask for the signature, instead of you scrambling and opening your briefcase and trying to figure out where you have a listing agreement. And point number four is, if you get to the end of your presentation and they still give you an objection, you're going to handle it, and I'm going to give you the points. But before you handle the objection, and this is one of the steps in handling, you isolate the objection. And isolating the objection sounds something like this. And then I'm going to go through the steps and I'll repeat it for you. Mr. Seller, let's say the objection is, can you cut your commission? Isolating would sound like this. Mr. Seller, if you and I can agree on the commission today, will you be ready to go ahead and list the property with me? So what you're doing now is you're narrowing it down to just this objection. That's the only thing you have to do. So if we can agree on the commission, we're done. It's not like you have, a bunch of other questions, because if they do, you need to know before you start handling them or what you do with it, you need to know what they are. But isolating the objection, very often they would say, yeah, if we could agree on the commission, sure, I'd be ready to go. So it's a great tool for you to use. So here are the 6 steps in handling objections at the appointment. Certainly very different than what you do over the phone. Step number 1 is the same as over the phone, which is listen intently. When you're in front of a seller on a listing presentation and they have some concern or objection, the last thing you want to do is freak out or be in your head and start thinking about how you're going to respond, which is what most agents, in fact, most human beings do. When somebody else is talking, we're already thinking about what we're going to say and how we're going to respond. Be fully present to the conversation, listening intently. Step number 2, you're going to repeat and approve the objection. So you're gonna repeat it to them. Mr. Seller, I understand your concern about the commission. Obviously, I'm giving you an example. Whatever the objection is, you're gonna repeat and approve. Obviously, from your perspective, you're thinking the more commission you pay, the less money you end up with, and clearly, you want to be able to walk away with the most money. I completely understand. That's just an example of repeating and approving. Step number 3 is you level shift the objection, which is very often possible to do, and then you isolate it. So the example that I gave you of the repeat and approval, I did a level shift. So let's say the objection is the commission. Level shifting means, so you repeat and approve, I understand your concern, and obviously, Mr. Seller, you're concerned about being able to walk away with the most money possible. It's not so much the commission you paid, is what you end up walking away with. And from your perspective, you're thinking, well, the more commission I pay, the less I get to keep. So I understand your concern. So basically what you're doing is you're shifting the focus from commission to walking away with the most money, okay? And now you isolate the objection. I already said it, I'll repeat. So Mr. Seller, if you and I can agree on the commission, will you be ready to go ahead and list the property with me today? And then number 4, step 4, you ask a question to get their attention, to spark curiosity. I'll give you an example again with commission. Mr. Seller, can I share with you why working with a discount agent can actually end up costing you money? So they're asking for you to cut your commission, right? Meaning discounting your commission. Can I tell you why? Now, you notice that when I asked that question, I raised my volume of my voice. I sort of leaned in and I sound concerned. Of course, they're gonna say, sure, well, what do you mean by that? How can it cost me money? Now, step 5, you have to handle the objection. This is not an objection handling video. This is teaching you the steps to actually handling them at the presentation. So I'm not going to give you commission objections here. I believe there's some videos on my channel. You gotta watch through all of them or look through the titles at least, because I actually have covered this on other videos. Whatever the objection is, you handle it. And then step number 6, which is the final one, ask them to sign the contract. You have the agreement in front of you. Mr. Seller, I just need your signature right here so I can go to work and get this property sold for you. Now, when you ask them to sign, one of 2 things will happen. They'll either sign, they'll grab the pen, you're handing it to them and sign, or they will give you another objection. Well, I need to sleep on it. Or you already isolated the objection, so I trust that they won't have anything else. However, if they're not feeling confident that you're the right agent for the job, they're gonna come up with, I have to think about it, or I'm interviewing other agents, or they'll come up with something, even though they might have said yes when you isolated the objection. If you get another objection when you ask them to sign, you follow the steps again. I gave them to you. Listen intently, repeat and approve. You level shift, isolate the objection. Ask a question to get their attention. Handle the objection. You gotta ask them to sign again. Whether you're handling an objection over the phone or in person, the last step is always the close. Because if you don't ask for the signature, if you are on the phone and you don't ask for the appointment, you're handling objections and you're leaving things up in the air. And that's why you don't get more contracts signed or more appointments. And the final thought I want to give you on this is commit to asking for the signature at least 5 times. I trust that it's not going to take that. If you do what I told you in the beginning, if you're pre-qualifying, if you're prepared, if you do all the things I told you, you shouldn't have any objections. You should ask them to sign and they're ready to go because you've done such an incredible job. But if you do get objections, it doesn't really work for you to just ask for the signature once. 80% of the yeses come after asking 5 times. You have to commit to that. And right now you're listening to this and you might be freaking out. Oh my gosh, that will be so uncomfortable. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. If you practice, it'll be less comfortable. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you will be. But yes, that's how you grow and get better, by doing things that are uncomfortable to you. And knowing that by asking 5 times, your chances of getting the signature are up to 80%. That should inspire you. You gotta ask, either they sign or they throw you out. That's the way you have to look at it. Trust me, you're gonna get a lot more listing agreements signed when you follow these steps. I trust this video was helpful, informative for you. Put your comments and questions below. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're posting new videos every week, so click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when a new video is coming up. And thanks for watching. I will see you soon.